Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to Conversations in Pop Culture, where I have with me professional eater and YouTuber Randy Santel, and as many people know, Todd Kelley, who has been on with Project Titans, who are part of the team behind Atlas Rising. So, welcome to the show, both of you.
Thanks for
Hey,
having us,
thanks
man.
for having us on. This will be fun.
Yeah, I'm very exciting because obviously everybody knows Todd, and me and Todd have spoken in the past. And I'm meeting you for the first time, Randy, and so we're going to talk a little bit about you in a second. But I think the best place to start here is how did the two of you meet first off and everything so that everybody catches up to speed a little bit?
Go ahead, Todd.
Okay, so Randy and I actually met at the birthday party of one of our friends, Mr. Chris Lucido, who runs the company Further You, who Randy works with, and they handle a lot of his scheduling and different things through social media. And they're who put us together for this comic book.
Yes, yeah. Chris does, his company does a lot of my event scheduling where I do all the food challenges and they operate my store. And then through everything, just knowing Todd, one of the things that Chris wanted to do was put together a comic. And I was, of course, on board and I was definitely very happy with how the first one came out. And then number two is about to come out and that's going to be great too. Todd has done a wonderful job. And then through all of his connections, he's been able to get great artists and I've really been happy with how it all turned out.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about Atlas Rising, and I know Todd was there somewhere in issue one, maybe issue two, as a little spoiler out there for everybody. There's a page in one of those books,
Oh,
which
yeah.
I knew exactly what you were talking about. Todd was here or whatever. Yeah.
but before we get there, because everybody knows Todd and Project Titans, and we had an amazing discussion, but I don't think my audience knows who you are, and I'm just curious how you got into professional eating and that entire realm. And there's people that I want to interview who are also somewhat professional eaters. I don't know if you know Megabyte Ronnie,
Yes. Yeah, I know who he is.
and
Yeah, I've met him
so
once. I met him actually just a couple months ago.
and he's a wrestler and he's really cool. But I'm really curious how you got into professional eating, and I figured we'd talk a little bit about that before we get into Atlas Rising.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, because Megabyte was just on the Hot Ones show. I didn't really get to watch it, but I saw he was on there. But yeah, my name is Randy Santel. I'm a professional eater. I don't really go by the term competitive eater because I don't really do eating contests. I just focus on doing food challenges, just like the show Man versus Food that was very popular back in like 2010 to 2012, and then they tried to reboot it. So I do those. I've got 914 food challenge wins, unique wins in all 50 states and then in 37 countries. And then I'm actually in the process of becoming a registered dietitian, as funny as that sounds, so that in about 2023, I'll be retiring from professional eating, and then I'll convert all my social media over to helping people better understand nutrition and weight management.
So what is food challenges? And I know it sounds like a crazy question, but I don't know exactly what a food challenge entails per
Of
se,
course.
and it's a
Yeah.
bit ignorant to ask it that way. But just so everybody's on the
No,
same
no, it
page.
is definitely not a popular thing. If professional eating was more popular, there'd be more than about 15 professional eaters in the world. So an eating contest is a lot of people know the hot dog contest that happens on 4th of July in America on Coney Island in New York City. That is an eating contest where all those people line up trying to eat as many hot dogs as they can in about 10 minutes. So what a food challenge is let's say there's a Mexican restaurant near you that offers a burrito challenge where just typical rules, you might have like 30 minutes, 45 minutes to finish a 6 pound, like 2 foot long burrito. And then if you do finish, you'll be able to get your meal free, 35 bucks, 40 bucks, whatever it costs. And then usually restaurants add in a sweet t-shirt to add to your collection. And then some even will take your photo and then put you on the wall of fame. So it's not as common anymore to get like gift cards or cash prizes, anything like that, except for maybe some of the big ones. But yeah, that's what a food challenge is.
And so, how do you even go prep up for one? Because obviously, there's like the spicy stuff, or like there's like the mega pizzas. I think there's one in Buffalo that's sort of like a comic shop has like a food challenge, and it's like a massive
Yep, yeah,
pizza. So
it's like a combination of a pizza and a cheesesteak. That one's pretty good on Grand Island. So I typically train different now. because I really just do tours. I'll do, like this year, I went on just one giant tour. I was doing food challenges every day. Further You was taking care of my schedule, which really helped things out. But I was doing a challenge every day, basically from all of July through the end of October. So I was just in my van with my bike, just going from city to city, doing events. And with that, pretty much I only had to train before the very first challenge, just to get my stomach ready. Typical training I'll do is trying to eat like 4 Subway footlongs with all the vegetables plus a gallon of water, all in about 15 minutes, 20 minutes sometimes. I might need to do that 2 days in a row to get ready. But back in the day, I used to try to eat like 12, 13 pounds of watermelon about 20 to 22 hours before my food challenge or eating contest. And that would kind of be lower in calories just because of the watermelon, but high in volume. And that would open up my stomach so I was ready to eat the next day.
And Todd, is that how you train as well?
Oh, 100%. Yes. Yes.
And the reason why I asked Todd this question, because Todd is clearly ranked #1 in the world on this topic, and he's the expert.
He could be if he really tried. He's got potential. Actually, no, he doesn't. You were eating pretty light meals when we were in New Orleans, weren't you?
Yeah, no, I not even a little bit. I defer.
Hey, that's appreciated. I'll let you take care of all the story writing for the comics.
I appreciate it.
And to even go further beyond these food challenges, you also own the website and operate the website with your partner and your business partner, foodchallenges.com. And so what is that like, which documents some of these challenges and talked about some other stuff regarding that as well. And it kind of opens up the world a lot more in many ways.
Yeah, foodchallenges.com is pretty much what I wish I had available when I first started. I took a whole bunch of time. It took quite a few months. There's over 100 different articles that are all organized that will help anybody. One of the phrases we use for foodchallenges.com is win before you begin. And with that there's 3 words: train, strategize, dominate. And if you both train and strategize, you will be able to confidently dominate. And so with that training, you got to have your body ready. You can't fit 6 pounds of food into a stomach that can only fit 5. So there's a whole bunch of articles that will help you train and get ready. And then you can have the capacity, but if you don't have a good strategy to actually execute and get the victory and get it all down into you, you won't be able to win. So there's a whole bunch of strategy articles too. You wouldn't attack a pizza challenge the same way you attack a burger or a ice cream sundae. There's usually 2 or 3 different things for each type of food challenge that you need to know that will help in addition to all the basic fundamentals. And so then also the thing that I definitely spend the most time keeping up to date, we have a database of all the food challenges all around the world. So you can access it. You can basically look up your state, your country, whatever you want to do, your city. You can find out all the food challenges around you. And then there's a list component as well. So those are the 2 main things. We initially started kind of a social media thing, but professional eating, competitive eating food challenges just isn't as popular as it was like 10 years ago when I started. I did my first food challenge in March of 2010. So I've been doing this like 10 and a half years now. It's not as popular to do food challenges as it was back then when Man vs. Food with Adam Richman was in its prime.
So I'm curious, why do you think that it has gotten less popular? Because it seems to me in today's age, with everything going the way it's going and niches becoming bigger and bigger and bigger, that it would be bigger and it would be more, people would be more interested. And it seems like, because I'm hearing about this and I'm fascinated by it, and it seems that just in my opinion that people would be interested. So why do you think it's sort of dwindled out a little bit, or it hasn't grown in where it should have been? Because this seems like very much like a sport.
Oh yeah, no, and a lot of people get interested, but then they usually quit a couple food challenges in once they realize how hard the lifestyle is. So, I mean, I do like 10 to 12 hours of cycling a week, along with dieting and stuff just to keep my weight in check when I'm not on tour. So a lot of people don't want to do all that. And then if you don't, you're going to gain weight. And a lot of people don't want to deal. A lot of people don't even know how to maintain their weight just because of all the different nutrition confusion and things like that. So yeah, I mean, I get people all the time asking me for tips and stuff like that. Thankfully, I can just direct them to foodchallenges.com, knowing that once they get 1 or 2 under their belt, they're probably not going to continue. So I wish more people continued, but also at the same time, if it was easy, it'd be less lucrative for me.
And to even talk further about this, because I do want to highlight this point, you do have a degree in nutrition and dietetics and things of that nature and everything in that, and you're going to be shifting over eventually more to that side of this. And this is a science in many ways where
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
it's
there's a
not.
lot more that goes into it than you think. So in 2008, I graduated with a construction management degree, and I played college football at the same university I got my dietetics degree in. In May 2019, Missouri State University in Springfield, Missouri, where I still have an apartment now. But yeah, there's a lot more that goes into it. And then in August of next year, 2021, I'll start my dietetic internship. So really, I've got about until the end of July to just travel all over the world and get all the food challenge wins that I want to do, which COVID, of course, is making that difficult. But there's still a lot of places. There's still a lot of places open in the United States, so that'll be nice. But once the world opens up, we'll be able to travel. But then, yeah, in August, I will kind of tone it down a notch, and then I'll have to do a 1,200-hour dietetic internship, which that'll take like 8 to 9 months. Then after that, I'll probably do one final world tour, and then I'll retire and make the switch over, and then I'll start public speaking. My book will come out, phone app, website, lots of other stuff. So it's going to be a big opportunity. I'm excited.
And so, what is that like for you that you are this eater and then now you're sort of taking this health platform and really helping get people nutrition and spread the word? Because you have a platform that can really help to do that more so than I think a lot of other people. Because people know you as a professional eater, they know you from this comic stuff with these food challenges, and now you're going to be shifting, and I think you're going to help a lot of people. And so, what does that
Oh
feel
yeah,
like?
it's going to be awesome
Right.
because most people get their nutrition information these days from people that specialize in fitness that also offer some, most of the time, incomplete nutrition advice. There's not really too many dietitians or nutrition professionals that are big on social media because of all the food challenges I've been doing all these years. Thanks to all that and the community I've been growing. On the day I become a dietitian, I'll become the #1 followed dietitian in the world. And really, as far as I know, I'll have more people on social media than all dietitians combined. So it's going to be a big responsibility, big opportunity, definitely going to help a lot of people to understand the fundamentals and more that they need to know.
And I'm excited for you because I think it's going to be great. And I'm a big fan of authoritative positioning as well as people who really want to help people. And I think you're in that boat as well as having that clout and the following, because I think it's going to be super helpful for so many people who struggle with nutrition. And it's clearly not an easy thing. And COVID hasn't helped many people in this sector.
That's
But
for sure. Yeah, we'll probably be on episode 3 or 4 of the comic by then. Hopefully, maybe 4 or 5. We'll see what
Fun
Todd has in
fact,
store.
just through listening to you guys talk, I think I figured out how I want to end the comic. So that'll be fun.
Uh-oh.
well,
That is good. We're successful with this podcast.
Exactly. We got it.
now we can all leave and go home. So clearly, but anyhow, now you mentioned the comics. So let's transition right to it. So Atlas Rising is the comic, and it's sort of a fictitious version of yourself. You and your business partner, who we're going to talk about in a second, are in there. And so, what is Atlas Rising for those who haven't heard about Atlas Rising or are unfamiliar with it? Because it is sort of an indie comic in that regard, where it's not published by a DC, Marvel, or an Image.
Not
So,
yet.
not yet, or it's not distributed by them, as I like to phrase
Correct.
it.
Yes. Yeah. Not yet.
So, what is?
But yeah.
Yeah,
Have you ever watched the movie? It's an arm wrestling movie called Over the Top with Sylvester Stallone.
I know of it. I have not seen it.
Okay, not that I stereotyped me, but you would have shocked the hell out of me if you had said yes. But so it's an arm wrestling movie, and then in that, before every arm wrestling match, Sylvester Stallone turns his hat around, and then he kind of transforms into what he calls a machine, and then it's just kind of time to dominate anybody that he goes up against. I kind of do that with my food challenges, so I wear a hat each time. And then right before, I have this kind of pre-ritual that I do where my family's Catholic, so I do a sign of the cross, take a deep breath, and then I turn my hat, and then I transform into what's labeled as Atlas. And that name came actually before I even did my first food challenge. My buddy that invited me to do a food challenge with him, it was a 28-inch pizza in St. Louis, Missouri, where we're both from, called the Pointersaurus. He had failed on his first try, and he knew that I could eat, so he wanted to rematch it with me. We couldn't really think of any cool competitive eating nicknames, so he texted me one day, said that he wanted to be Zeus. And because he wanted to do that, I figured I needed to do something similar, and I just said, oh, okay, I'll be Atlas. And then I just got lucky that it kind of fell into place and has the global theme than it does. But yeah, Atlas Rising comes from pretty much a fictitious story of how Atlas came to be. So Todd did a great job of keeping everything family friendly. I was really happy with how it turned out.
Yeah, and there's a lot of stuff going on with this. I mean, obviously, Randy sort of eats a burrito just to catch everybody up and gains superpowers. And it's sort of, he also has a weakness where he's still always hungry and he needs to eat more food to activate his powers. And then all these heroes, cops, firefighters, and others are gone and magically disappeared so far. I don't want to ruin too much about what's going on. And well, Randy slash Atlas steps up, and then one thing leads to another, and robbers kidnap his friend, and so on and so forth. And so, what was it like having all these moving parts and having this like story and almost having like a Spider-Man type moment, but with food? Because when we look at Spider-Man, he gets bitten by the spider, and in this case, it's obviously not a radioactive burrito, but there's something in that burrito that affects him.
Yes, yeah, and the restaurant in comic book one is Lucido's Burritos, and Lucido is actually the last name of our mutual friend Todd and I that operates Further You. But no, I love the story. I didn't even really have to make too many corrections or want to ask for any adjustments. Todd talked to me for a couple hours before he started writing the first episode, and he pretty much put into action everything that I wanted to see, and then he had a really good understanding of where he wanted to go with it all too. So to say that I've had a massive part into it in getting this comic going would kind of be a little bit narcissist. I know Todd and actually the coolest thing I would say is just seeing what Todd came up with for the story and then actually seeing it in comic book form. The artist is from the Philippines for comic book number one. He did awesome. And then the new artist for round two did a great job too. So definitely excited to see the finished product.
Yeah, to even talk a little bit about that, because I think you answered part of it, but what is that relationship like where between you and Todd? Because obviously Todd is writing a lot of it, but it's also your character and the input and what you say and what you throw and getting your character right and what you want to portray and all that relationship. Because obviously when I'm reading this comic and I did my homework on you and I've seen some of your stuff out there that you've done, and it's definitely, you can't help but definitely recognize that Randy is you, if you know what I mean. It's clear,
Yeah.
like, and that's something that's very cool, and I think it captures your likeness and your character. And if you had superpowers like Atlas does, it would be what it is, for lack of a better word.
Oh yeah. No, definitely. And I was kind of the same way with this project as I was with my editors. I've got two full-time editors that do all my videos that go up on our YouTube channel and Facebook page. Everything's Randy Santel. I pretty much put the videos together as far as all the raw footage, and then I give them a base understanding of what I'm looking for, and then they just run with it. And I trust that they're doing a good job, and that's exactly what happened with Todd and Chris and the team. So I was definitely happy with that. There was no scolding, that's for sure.
Yeah. And that, yeah. What were you saying?
I was just gonna say, man, it was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed getting to work with Randy on this, and obviously having the benefit of having kind of all of his videos that are out there and being able to watch it. If you check out the first comic, which you can purchase on the foodchallenges.com at the store. If you want to check that out, like the first 7 or 8 pages, I believe, we mimic one of Randy's videos. So we were, knowing the whole time we're building this for Randy's fans. Randy, has this fan base. They're an amazing fan base. I got the opportunity to go do some, observe him doing some challenges last year and go attend some comic convention together, and just got to meet his fans. And we knew that's who we were building it for, and so we just wanted to feel familiar with them. So whenever they open up the comic, I wanted to feel the same as them looking at a video. And I thought that was one of the coolest things that we were able to pull off. Was it just kind of, to me, flows very naturally.
And that's
Yeah, and then getting into it, we started promoting it, and then it was, I guess, one of the interesting things for me was finding out just how many subscribers to our videos are actually big into comics. We got a great response from the start. Yeah.
That was a lot of fun. And even at the convention, when we were in New Orleans and having people constantly come up and be like, I came to this convention to see you, or people that were just at the show and they'd turn and look at the table and be like, holy crap, that's Randy Santel. Like that was just one of the absolute coolest things in the world to see, because you would see these people just light up and come over, and then having the comic, here's this thing that they've seen on YouTube and whatever, and they're taking a look at it and they're putting it in their hands, and it was really cool, man.
Yeah, and one of the things that's becoming bigger in comics, and I think Anthony Bourdain helped with this, as well as some animes like Food War and Toriko, is that food is becoming a bigger topic to discuss.
Yeah.
And things around that, where we have some big animes that have produced big money both in America and in Japan. Anthony Bourdain's Hungry Ghost and his, ramen, noodle flipping comic has done very well at the same time. And I think this also falls into that, where I think prior to 10 years ago, there really wasn't any comics dealing with food. And so I'm curious with the both of you, how you feel about how this topic is now starting to get tackled. And it's now starting to come more, I guess, up to the surface, for lack of a better word. And I think people, not to make a pun here, but we're hungry for it.
I like that.
Go ahead, Todd.
No, I would just say, it's a big point that we work with the art, or with the various artists whenever we're doing it, is to just make sure that the food is, it's very colorful, it looks real. Whenever we were doing issue 1, I remember reaching out to Randy and talking to him about the fact, like, hey, we're doing a spicy burrito challenge. What would you eat after to recover? And talking to him directly and trying to work that in. And then going back and forth about the challenges that are in book 2, and, hey, how would we work this? What's this look like? And we want to try and make it, I would say realistic, but just, again, like we want the food to pop, man. It's a very colorful book. It's a very colorful, life. And that was just one of the fun things that we wanted to do with it.
Yeah, the only thing I'd have to add is, everybody's got to eat. Everybody loves food. And, the people that try all the different varieties, there's common ground between a lot of people.
Right.
Yeah, and to even go further, because I agree, and I think there's something that everybody can relate to in this book. And there's a lot of different stuff, and I don't want to ruin too much of what's going on in book 2, just because there's a lot of stuff that happens, and it gets exciting. And I've tipped off enough things with that, and it gets a very Barry situation, for lack of a better word. I'm trying to be as spoiler-free as possible. With as many.
No, you're good, man. It's fun. We work in Magic Mitch, and I think that was one of the most fun things getting to work too. Is we not only we work in Leonidas, which is just a lot of fun, which you can also pick up at foodchallenges.com at the store.
Yeah, and just to follow that up, you can either go through the link that's on foodchallenges.com, or you can go to Food Challenge Store and it will redirect. So foodchallengestore.com, and unlike the one that Todd just showed, it is signed. So that is pretty cool. And then, we've got the Leonidas Bears too that have been with us since 2015. And then Magic Mitch, actually, who is in round number 2, he started with me back in 2013 as the main editor. He is an eater too. So he's been on a lot of the big trips with me. But it's, Todd did a great job again of incorporating him. He talked to Mitch for like an hour or 2 before writing out the story, and all of the little quirks, or whatever you want to call it, related to Mitch Todd added a lot of those into it. So Mitch actually hasn't seen the final copy. I'm definitely looking forward to showing it to him. Todd did a great job. And then, of course, the artist, too.
And so, what is this like for Randy to really add, Mitch in there and add a few other people, and obviously Chris is thrown in there. It's his shop and his burrito, and kind of pay that like fun little, I guess, Easter egg slash, it's not a jab or a rib at your friends, but sort of honoring them in many ways and honoring the creator.
I was going to say, I think it's really cool that we were able to work them in. And, whenever we started talking about the idea of working in Mitch, and it was really fun, actually, because I remember, Randy, when we did the first story, right? So we added the Zach character and, kind of talked through what we were doing with the Zach guy. And I remember one of the first things you came back with was, where's Mitch? Who's this guy and where's Mitch? And, I remember having to go back and like, no, this is a fictional character. Like, we need him. Like, we're going to. He's a plot device more or less. And, but that stood out to me that like your first thought was, where's Mitch? Like, Mitch is my guy and, we need to work him in. And so whenever we started talking about book 2, I had this spot where we were going to have this character and I'm like, let's use this for Mitch and let's have fun and let's make it real. And, I got the opportunity to talk to him and, work with him on it. We actually talked a couple times and exchanged some emails and some text messages, and it was just a lot of fun, and we got to work a bunch of it in. And I'm really excited for him to see it, and just hope he absolutely loves it. So I'm excited.
Yeah, because Mitch actually, and not to discredit myself, but Mitch actually is really into comics and stuff like that. Like he was in a couple of years ago whenever Black Panther was out, and he really wanted to go see it in the theaters, and I figured, hey, why not? I like action movies. So I wasn't even aware that, is that Marvel, DC, what is Black Panther? Yeah, I didn't know that their movies have like a thing after the credits that show like a hint of the next one. So I'm like going to get up. Mitch and all the people around me, they're like, where are you going? I'm like, I don't know what's going on.
And so for Randy, I mean, I'm curious, what is it like to trust Todd? Because obviously Todd is a comic writer. He's done a lot of projects. He self-funded a bunch of stuff and took a very different approach than the Kickstarter guys take, which I respect a lot more in many ways than the Kickstarter people. Nothing against them. But what is it like to trust him? Because obviously you want to bring in and tell stories sort of one way, but sometimes you need to, in a comic book, do certain things to make it work. And so what is it like for you to trust your writer and have faith that he's doing the right thing by your book and with your character and with your friends and all of that? Because sometimes it's hard for people to let go of that.
I mean, I didn't really go into it with too high of expectations just because I didn't really know what we were getting into. But I mean, really, I guess I trusted Chris that he had good standards, that he would want to do a great job with the project, and he wouldn't have chosen Todd to get it done if he didn't believe in him. So I didn't really think about it too much at all. I guess I just trusted that everything would work out. I mean, I'm 34 and my mom tells me I'm not invincible, but I'm still in that stage where I always just think that everything's going to work out fine no matter what. And it did. I got lucky.
Well, luck is for losers, and nobody gets lucky.
Yes.
Yeah. No, nobody gets lucky. Luck is for losers.
The harder we work, the luckier we get.
It's a great saying that was never said, so go figure that one out. But I digress. I digress right there. And so even going off of that with Todd, and you mentioned it earlier that this book was not necessarily written for the full intention. Like Project Titans was written for capturing a non-existing audience and a new audience. This had a built-in audience already with Randy and his personality and the food challenges. And so I'm just curious, what was that like? Because that's a very different experience than creating a brand new comic and a brand new project and capturing your audience. And also, what is it like knowing that in the back of your head, hey, this has to appease and appeal to a certain audience. And then to find out that a big chunk of that audience is also into comics and they're thrilled with it must be very rewarding for you.
Oh, it was great. I mean, it was definitely different. It was a completely different approach than like Project Titans. So Project Titans, it's me, right? So I mean, at the end of the day, like, my wife is like my editor and my biggest critic on stuff. But at the end of the day, like that's it. And so with Atlas Rising, it was very different. I was we had different deadlines that we were working through, and working with Chris, working with Randy, and keeping in mind that you're building something that we're taking Randy Santel, who everybody, again, a lot of people already know, and you're having to work with that. And for me, I thought the hardest thing was going to be convincing people this is Randy, and that was kind of one of the biggest things that we wanted to go into, was we wanted them to feel like immediately whenever they get into the book, like, this is Randy. There's no like transition. There's no, I don't buy it or whatever. I want them to just kind of roll with it. So it was a lot of fun. And I still remember after Randy had announced the comic, whenever we first did it, one of my buddies, who, I mean, I've known since middle school, like, posted in a group thread that I was in, and posted, "Hey, this comic's coming out. You guys should go check it out." And he had no idea that I was the one that wrote it, because I wasn't really advertising it. Like, I was just kind of doing it on the side. So he had no idea that I was the one that wrote it. And so he was just posting in the group thread that, he followed Randy Santel, and, he loved the competitive eating, and he was sharing it with all his friends that, hey, you should go check out this comic. And so it was a fun moment whenever I actually got him to look at the post and see that I was tagged in it, and that I was the writer, and, pay attention, like, that's me. So yeah, man.
You never told me that. I didn't know that.
Yeah, dude. It's
and if you did, I didn't remember.
No, you're good. I didn't. I think it's the first time we've shared that. But yeah, man, it just, it was one of those things where you take it very seriously. Kind of similar to how Randy said, he trusted Chris and Chris trusted me. And that was a very cool thing where, here we are, and, Further You was really starting off at the time too. So it was a pretty big project to, go in and work on, and just knowing, like, hey, look, we got to get this done. It was also right around the same time that I had a kid. So it was just kind of one of those things where it's like, hey, look, you got to take this very seriously. You got to manage your time. You got to make sure you do it right. And, let's go knock it out the park. I will give some credit. So the cover with Randy carrying the cheeseburger, or Atlas carrying the cheeseburger that's kind of shaped like the world. That was literally, so we were coming up with cover ideas, and we're just pitching different ideas. And the artist was just kind of sketching them for us, and we were sending them over to Chris and Randy and saying, like, hey, what do you guys think? And so that was my wife's idea. She literally was like, you should do this. And so we kind of just threw it in there. And we're like, all right, whatever, if it gets picked, it gets picked. And then it ended up getting picked for the cover. So every time, like, we go check it out, or she's like, yeah, you owe me that one. And I'm like, yeah, you're right.
And this very much, I think the best way how I would sum this up is that this is very much like an IDW situation, where they deal with a lot of licensed products. And when you're dealing with a licensed product in somebody's name, you have to treat it very differently than a creator-owned project. In many ways, it's kind of like IDW. They have the Star Trek license. There's certain things they have to do with that, where you can't just go kill off Lieutenant Uhura out of nowhere. As much as I love Lieutenant Uhura, you can't just kill off a character just like.
You also have to keep in mind that, I mean, Randy's a big guy, so you do him wrong. I mean, like, he will find
beat people up for fun.
Right. I mean, like, it's funny because, like, to make him look like a superhero, we kind of had to make the Randy character actually look a little smaller, like, because when he transforms into Atlas, he's pretty much the same size as he is now. So that was, again, it was just one of those things where, like, you got to keep that in mind too. Randy's a big dude. Like,
I'm scary.
and so yeah, even to go off of that, because Atlas is kind of a badass in many ways. And what I also love about Atlas, and this is something that if we take out the food element for 1 second, Atlas has to learn how to use his power. And Randy doesn't know Atlas exists, sort of. And he's like, what the hell just happened? And we get that idea of the testing of the strength, and then the hunger and all that stuff. And then we get some food competition stuff in there as well. And so to sort of satisfy the hunger. So what is that entire thing like? Because that's kind of a really cool feature, I think, because we almost have two stories going on at the same time, and they're parallel, and then they kind of cross each other. And then we get a lot of other moving parts in there in book 2. And I don't want to dive in, but let's just say that there's more than one enemy for different reasons. To put it nicely.
We had to play with it, and look, I'm Hulk is one of my favorite characters, and whenever we got to do this, and I got to kind of do my version, right? So I got Randy and Atlas, and I just wanted to have fun with it, but at the same time, like, look, again, we made this for Randy's audience, and like that's who they're interested in. They're interested in Randy. They're interested in Atlas, and we explain a little bit kind of each issue, and we'll keep going into it, and we'll kind of keep explaining how it works, and just get it in there. But so far, we've been able to really tell two pretty solid stories in these books, and kind of only give away enough to just keep you like, man, okay, like I like that, like I want to know more, and I just kind of had to fight the urge to like over explain it and just give it all away in issue one. I was like, no, let's make this work and let's have fun with it. And again, it worked out where we got to work in the Leonidas Bear, and I thought that was probably one of the things that was the coolest, was like, man, I got Mitch into Leonidas Bear into issue 2, and like it worked. Like,
yeah, and we've had a lot of people that have gotten the first one. They've been asking when number 2's coming. So I'm excited to finally be able to tell them it's out.
Yeah, that'll be good. That'll be good.
Yeah, and then I'm very excited, and I don't want to ruin too much because I know that issue 2 is either just got out or is coming out in the next like few weeks or so.
Yeah, it'll be out soon. In the next couple of weeks, we've been held up at the printer a little bit, but everything should be good, and hopefully going to arrive on somebody's doorstep in like soon. So we should be good.
Yeah, and then for the first copy, and then we'll try to make it happen for the second one too. But if you just want to get the digital copy, you can go right to atlasrisingcomic.com, and that will redirect you right to the thing on Amazon where you can download it and get it digitally. So atlasrisingcomic.com.
We're going to do the digital again for issue 2. And then we're also going to put together a couple bundles. We're going to put together a bundle where you can get like both comics and the probably the 1, 2, 3 Boom t-shirt, since that's the shirt that we kind of feature in the second book.
Oh, that's a good idea. I like that.
We're also going to put together a bundle where you can get both the Atlas books and then the whole Project Titans run, the first 5 issues as well. So for the comic book fans out there, so we'll have a couple fun things out there for everybody, just in time for some great Christmas shopping. So anybody have some Atlas stuff and some Project Titans under the tree, we will have them available for you.
And so this is the time to sell. So what can fans expect with issue 2? If they've already read issue 1, because we spoke about it and gave kind of a filler for issue 1, what can fans expect for issue 2? And then obviously, what can people expect going forward with this series? Because it's becoming a series, and issue 3 will eventually happen, I got a feeling. And hopefully we'll get an issue 4 and 5 and 6 if time allows in society.
So our first story arc is right now kind of slated to be 5 issues, and so that's what we're working with. But I'd say with issue 2, if you've read issue 1 and you're a fan of issue 1, or you're a fan of Randy Santel and you want to check them both out, just go for it, bite the bullet, pull it, pull the trigger and roll with it. Issue 2, I think it's pretty fast paced. Again, we kind of dig in, and you're going to see a lot of what you're familiar with. You're going to get to see Magic Mitch. We're going to introduce him. We're going to introduce Leonidas. We do the triathlon food challenge, right? Where you guys do 3 different food challenges.
Yeah, there's like a little eating contest / food challenge in there. It's fun. And then Mitch started in 2013, and he's been in a lot of our videos. We've done a lot of team challenges. So a lot of the people that have been following for a long time, they'll be excited because Mitch is going to be in there. And then Leonidas the Bear has been with us since 2015. So a lot of people know about both of those, and they'll be excited to see him in. And then they'll just be excited to see the continuation that started in story 1.
Agreed.
And what is it like that you have even some merchandise attached to all this? So you obviously have featured shirts. I don't think you're going to stop with shirts at some point. I think we're going to get a shirt for issue 3. And if you don't have a shirt prepared for issue 3, well, now you do. So it's great. You can steal the idea right here.
Coming together really well.
And then
you know what we need to do for issue 1? We need to get a Lucido's Burritos t-shirt.
Chris would be down for that.
We need to get a Lucido's Burritos t-shirt.
And then
fun, yeah.
And then you also have like the plushy bear. So you got Leonidas, and then the bear that people can pick up. So what is that like? Because this is like just a whole nother revenue stream, and I love multiple revenue streams here. So
where did you get that bear, and why isn't it signed, Todd?
This bear was.
Did you steal it?
What's that?
Did you
Oh,
steal
she
that?
accused me of stealing a bear. I was one of your first people to buy whenever you switched over to Amazon.
Oh, okay.
So this is actually one of Annabelle's, I want to say like her third or fourth stuffed animal. I
Oh,
had
nice.
to
Okay.
I like how we're
type,
hashing this out live too.
yeah, whatever.
This,
I just
this
couldn't
is what
stop
happens.
wanting the t-shirt. Like I was just like, man, where's this t-shirt? Like she always takes it off and like runs around with the bear, so I had to find it.
Uh-oh. Well, I'm glad it's still there.
Yeah.
So now to even go beyond this and dive into some of the comic stuff, and obviously COVID has messed up a variety of stuff. It's messed up a bunch of eating challenges globally and even parts of the U.S. And not to be Mr. Pessimistic here, but we don't know where it's going to be in the next few months either. But we're talking about the comic side of things. How has it been with printing, getting the book out to people, and really just tightening up and finishing issue 2? Because people on Kickstarter obviously are having problems with stuff right now, and things are delayed, and even around the world, places like Argentina you can't ship to right now in the world, and there's places that are just massively delayed, and even ordering regular comics. So I'm curious how that has all been affected with wrapping up issue 2 and even going forward with other things involving this.
What I'll say without getting too much into it is just it presented a very unique challenge, and it definitely presented where there's a few things where I mean, look, we've done, we did the first issue Atlas, we've done 5 issues of Project Titans, we've done a variant for Project Titans, and getting Atlas to the finish line was just probably one of the toughest and presented again just a bunch of unique challenges, a bunch of different things that have popped up that we didn't have to deal with before. So I would
The
just say
biggest thing that's affected me is just that, not to step in there, but it goes along with the same stuff, is just we haven't been able to do any Comic Cons.
right.
So those were, Todd and I first met, we went to Big Easy Con in New Orleans, and it was a great time, and we were all gung-ho about doing more, and then boom, not doing that.
Well, that's right. So we were supposed to do Tampa this year. We were supposed to do Atlanta this year, potentially Orlando we had talked about doing. And so there was going to be a bunch of different options. And, I would just say realistically, just kind of shifted a bunch of them to next year. So, I mean, realistically, everything we booked last year is supposed to happen this year. We'll see what happens. I've got a show in January that I'm supposed to go do. We'll see. If it happens, great. If it doesn't, it is what it is.
Just got to adjust and go with the flow.
That's it, man. You just
complaining does absolutely nothing.
Right. So, I mean, one of the things I did to kind of tweak things up was, we just started doing signings at different comic book stores so you could control it a lot more. So we would just go to individual stores, and that's helped build relationships with those, the people that run those stores. And then that's caused them to, carry our books and different things, man. So, I mean, it's really just been, okay, cool. We lost the cons. Let's go do something else. Let's go work here. Let's go look into this. Let's go look into that. What else can we do?
Yeah, there's always opportunities if you get creative.
Darn right.
Yeah, and let's talk one more thing about Kickstarter and that entire sector and the indie space in general. I mean, in the last few months, we've seen big names come in. Keanu Reeves, Scott Snyder has come onto Kickstarter. Ryan Brown, Charles Soule successfully funded Curse Words. Todd McFarlane with his Spawn toy did really well. And so obviously the indie sector in comics is massively hot right now. And I think Randy is sort of in that big name coming in component, not necessarily from the comic, but the celebrity position. Elvira just had a massively successful Kickstarter at the end of October. So obviously indie comics has shifted where now a lot more people who have celebrity status and have big social media followings have come in and legitimized it. And I think it's a good thing for the industry in many ways. And so I'm curious how both of you feel about that and people coming in and where that trend is going. And Todd might have more insight into it than Randy does.
Yeah, I don't know anything about Kickstarter. I feel that if you want to do something, get it done yourself. So, I don't know anything about
but just
that.
the indie sector in general and all the big names.
So what I'll say, and I mean, it's probably just kind of changed my perspective a little bit about Kickstarter. And for me, like I've really kind of taken a step back, and I've met a lot of people who have done it well. and kind of just treat it as, again, as a different opportunity to talk to a different audience. They're offering a lot of great products through the Kickstarter, the different rewards and stuff along those lines. So it's really just kind of a different avenue for a lot of different people. And look, I mean, we've sat, and myself and Further You have sat down and had conversations like, hey, do we want to try one? Do we want to do this? Do we want to do that? Because again, like, look, man, I was reading about what Keanu Reeves did with it, and what they did with his comic and stuff along those lines too. And I think it's almost silly not to at least sit down and have the conversation, because it's a really awesome platform. There's a lot of great people that use the platform. I've had some conversations recently, literally before we hopped on this. I was watching a video from Tyler James where he and I have been going back and forth and just kind of talking about like best practices with it, and it's very cool. But I think at the end of the day, I mean, if we ever decide to do one, it's because it's the right move for us. Anybody that is doing it, if that's the right move for you, then hey man, like that's cool. I'm good with it. But again, my perspective on it has definitely changed, just because I've seen the way a lot of people have done it, and the different things that they provide for their fans. Anytime that I see a different indie creator that's running one or this and that, I mean, I'll check it out. I backed one today, The Protector by Marcus Roberts from I think it's Second Sight. Yeah, Second Sight Publishing. I literally backed his right before we hopped on this call. So I mean, there's definitely I think good avenues for it, and the indie sector as a whole is growing. There's so many cool things that are happening. There's so many you go look at Scout Comics and all the cool things they're doing, and just whatever, man. I mean, like I think it's growing and growing every day, and I think we're in a great spot.
And I feel that a lot of these big celebrities and big names and celebrities coming in, big comic names coming in, really adds legitimacy. And it
Right.
kind of gives that blue check mark that Twitter gives to its viewers. And I think it adds a lot of confidence in many ways to these platforms, whether you're on Kickstarter, Indiegogo, you're self-funding it in the indie sector in general. And I think it's a good thing, but I also think there are things that need to be adjusted with it, but that's a different discussion for a different day.
But I mean, that's everything, right? I mean, it's all about balance, and it's look, you're gonna have people that come in, they win the game right away, and they kind of adjust the game and try to figure it out and make changes and this and that. So I don't know. Like I said, I mean, I don't know about you, but I probably wouldn't have heard about the Keanu Reeves comic if it didn't make such a big deal that they put it on Kickstarter. And for me, that was how I heard about it, and that's how I continue to hear about it. So.
Yeah, I think that's how most people heard about it, and it brought a bunch of new fans into Kickstarter. So it's a
Right.
wonderful thing, and for a lot of reasons. And Boom did something really cool where they actually then just donated a bunch of money to a bunch of Kickstarters that were going on to help push them over and give them that extra boost after they came into their pool, which is really a cool
Right.
thing to do that other companies
Exactly.
haven't done. So
No.
all those other companies, take note from Boom. Take note from Boom.
Mm-hmm.
If you go swimming in somebody else's pool, maybe you want to bring a noodle to them. I'm just saying. It's a nice gift. It's an olive branch. Or a raft or something. I don't know. Just anything in that nature. But anyhow, I digress. So let's talk about the con scene with everything. And you guys sort of answered it a little bit. I haven't been to Big Easy Con. It's done by the people who run Anime Next. Or not Anime NYC, I should say, which is going on right now. And Awesome Con, actually. It's the same people that run it.
Okay.
I heard Big Easy Con's pretty good from what I hear. And so how has the reception been at cons when the two of you go or one of you goes, and the books and obviously the following, and then even just with people who don't know anything about either one of you see this book, what is it like and all that stuff?
I've only been to one, so I don't really have anything to go off of. I mean, I had fun, but again, I didn't go in with any expectations.
So the con we did together, I want to say that was my third or fourth, and I think we had the Randy book and we had the first three of mine, and we did an artist alley table, and it was me, Randy, and Chris, and I mean it was jam packed, right? So I mean, like it was nuts. Like if I remember correctly, like we had to pass like 7 or 8 people just to get out from behind the table. I mean, it was just nuts, but it was so much fun, and there were so many great people that we got to meet. And again, with having Randy there, having people just recognize him was one of the absolute coolest things. And then we'd have people that would come to the con to see Randy and then go to the food challenge afterwards, or vice versa, met Randy at the con and then went to the food challenge afterwards. And that was a lot of fun. Now, I will say, working conventions when he's not there and then, still pitching Atlas and talking about it, it's really fun because you start talking about Atlas, and I'll tell you what ends up happening, right? So I end up talking to him a little bit about Project Titans. I talked to him a little bit about Atlas. And then when I tell them about Randy, hey, look, he's got over 1 million followers, professional eater, this is how we did it, blah, blah, blah. Tell them about the story and everything. So they'll sit there and look him up on YouTube, and then you're talking to somebody else while they're looking him up on YouTube, and they're pulling up one of his videos, and then they'll sit there for 5 minutes and watch one of his videos and be like, yeah, I want all the books, and so it's fun because even when Randy's not there, he's there. Like, you can make it work. There was one convention we went to where we just brought an iPad and we found a playlist of just all your videos. And I think we had your videos going just all the way until the iPad would die, and then we charge it and then let it go again. So, I mean, you can make it work, man. Like, you got to get creative and have fun with it. And I joked around with somebody one time. I was like, if you don't believe me, I can FaceTime him right now. I was just like, dude, like, whatever, I'll FaceTime if you want. Like, but yeah, man, I mean, the conventions are fun, man. The signings are fun. Just anytime you get to get out and just meet with people. The conventions actually remind me, Randy, a lot of, again, just your food challenges, man. Like, because you just get to get out there, shake hands with everybody, talk to them about just whatever's going on. You get to meet them. And I will give Randy all the credit in the world. I still don't know, like, how he pulls this off. But Randy will meet somebody, like, at a convention, then see him again at a show after meeting, like, 50 people between. And he's going to remember who they were and what their name is and just the whole deal, man. And, like, I'm bad, like, just – I'll meet somebody, be at their house hanging out, and forget what their name is. So I have no idea how Randy pulls it off, but I mean, he's a champ.
Well, thank you, Todd. I was boosting your ego all the time, and now you've done it back. Thank you.
So I don't know if Randy can answer this, but I know Todd can. And obviously, cons have been canceled. Things are getting very complicated in the United States. Todd, I think you're in Florida, right?
Yep.
And so I don't know what Florida looks like. And Florida has been very interesting during the middle of COVID, where there's been some cons that have happened, some cons haven't happened in Florida. I'm in Washington, D.C. I'm moving back to Connecticut, and Connecticut is looking a lot worse than D.C. by definition, with COVID and all that stuff and cons. And obviously we're now starting to see a lot of governors in this entire country start putting restrictions on and things like that. And also we're going into the holiday season, which means no major con is going to happen anyway till January.
Yeah.
So what do you think needs to happen? I know I asked you this already. It's like my third favorite question, but where do you think cons are going to be going, and what do you think needs to happen to ensure safety? Because we went through the Florida con that I think you were at earlier this year with One for All. Might have been there.
Yeah. John Swayze was there. It was that was a very fun con. So it was Collective Con in Jacksonville. Man, I would just say right now, I mean, obviously it's just about kind of size and spacing, right? So, you've just got to be very careful with it. You got to be very smart. You've got to have all the precautions in place. And if anything, it's just to make everybody feel safe. And I think that's kind of the biggest thing, is just make them feel comfortable, make everybody feel safe. But the shows I've done and the signings I've done, have just been a lot of fun. And again, we're going to do, I think it's Central Florida Comic-Con in January. Down in Lakeland, and they're selling about half the spots that they did last year just to provide spacing. I didn't do UltraCon in August this past year, but I know UltraCon, similar, they spaced everybody out, which personally I'm okay with, because again, we did Big Easy Con in New Orleans, and me, Randy, and Chris behind the table, that was a snug fit. And
yeah, Chris and Todd are big guys.
So we and then we're running past like all the people beside us to try and get. But now, man, you got 6 feet between you and the nearest table. Like, man, that's not bad. Like, I can make that work. So, I mean, if anything, we just get more space. It's all good.
Yeah, I think it's going to be very interesting what cons do. I think it's going to be very interesting who shows up at these cons, and I think it's going to be fascinating to see how everything plays out. But what I know is that the people who did Big Easy Con and with Awesome Con, they were going to shoot for April, and they moved it back to August. And so I'm betting heavy that we're going to have a busy June, July, August, and September of 2021, if anything, because I got a feeling the summer is going to be one of those where those 12 to 16 weeks are going to be like 50 shows across America over
I
16 weeks. I'm willing to bet on it.
I had stuff from last year that rescheduled. And so, obviously when I scheduled it last year, I was strategic and I was like, all right, I'm going to do one this month. I'm going to do two this month. I'm going to do, well, when everything rescheduled, it all just kind of jumbled itself on top of each other this year. And I had to cancel a couple things because at one point I think we were looking at it and we were going to have like 6 shows in a row. Like Tampa and Atlanta, which we're going to try and do again this year. But Tampa and Atlanta are literally back-to-back weekends. And like I was joking around with my wife, I was like, I'm just going to take the week off in between because going to go work Tampa and then have to commute up to Atlanta and work Atlanta. Like it's going to be tough. Like it's going to be a blast. Don't get me wrong. But, we initially were supposed to do Tampa, Atlanta, and then we're going to do Valdosta, and then we're going to do Orlando. And I'm just like, yeah, that's not going to happen, man. Like I'm going to be done. Like by the time Atlanta's over, I'm going to be fried.
It's going to be a very hellish 16 weeks for cons. It's going to cause a lot of issues for a lot of people in their bank. And if you're not prepping up as a fan economically for it, where if you're not prepping up now and you're not having, and you do 3 cons and they're all at 16 week and you don't got $3,000, it's going to be a rough 16 weeks as a fan, not even as a seller. For anybody who's listening, this is my area, is economics.
You're good.
On economics. And I'm telling people right now that you're going to need $3,000 from June to September if you're a fan and you go to 3 cons. You're going to need it because it's going to be wild and legitimately everything's going to be up for grabs and everything is going to.
You know what?
It's going to be great.
Just make sure you've got anywhere from $25 to $40. You can come visit our table. We'll get you all squared away.
That works too. That works too. I'm just giving everybody a number in my head that is relatively conservative, but. This is the point, and that's not about me. It's not about what I do. That's a different podcast completely. That was last night. So I would like to give both of you an opportunity to promote yourselves. Where can people find you? Where can people buy Atlas is Rising, Project Titan? Please go check out the interview I did with Todd if you want to know more about Project Titan, because that's really an interesting project. And I'm sure that when 6 and 7 come out, and I will get my advanced copies digitally of that so I can catch up on that.
Got you.
Because we're going to eventually talk about that and what's going on with that. Because that comic is getting beyond interesting in a variety of ways, but neither here nor there. So please self-promote yourself in any which way you would like to, or self-promote each other, or self-promote anything else. Totally cool.
Yeah, I will start. So if anybody's got any questions about food challenges, or you just want to find out where the food challenges are around you, definitely go to foodchallenges.com. If you're interested in watching any of our videos, my main social media, everything is just Randy Santel. There's only one. We've got 1.2 million YouTube subscribers and then 1.2 million Facebook followers as well. All the videos go on there. We post 3 per week on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays around 3:30 to 4 p.m. Central Standard Time. And then if you're interested in getting a comic digitally, just go to atlasrisingcomic.com. Or you can get the paperback version or anything else related to our store. Leonidas Bears, t-shirts, hats, everything is foodchallengestore.com. Or you can also go through foodchallenges.com and you'll see a link at the top. Go ahead, Todd.
Now, Randy, do you know where anybody can find these awesome Further You t-shirts? Do they sell these? Do we know that?
No, they don't.
Oh, man, they should. So my name is Todd Kelley. Check me out on Instagram or Facebook at tkellwrites. You can find Project Titans at projecttitanscomics.com. We'll be launching our new variant very, very soon. This is actually going to be exclusive probably for the next month at Darkside Comics. You can look them up on Facebook. And then after that, we'll have it on the website. So thank you.
And also, we're going to get a signed copy because I know people like signed stuff, and I'm a big signed guy and all that fun stuff. So where can people get a signed copy?
Website.
Well, all the paperback Atlas Rising comics come signed by me, and then I think some by Todd and Chris as well. All of those are on foodchallengestore.com.
And then I believe we're going to be getting together possibly sometime in January and signing a whole bunch more. So
yeah, we will. Yeah, because we'll need to sign the new one.
Exactly.
So there you go, everybody. If you're going to get this book in trade paperback, you might as well get a signed copy and don't wimp out and get another copy. And obviously, foodchallenges.com is the place to go. Pretty much anything you want with Atlas Rising, foodchallenges.com will direct you to it in some capacity. And just go bother Todd if you want to figure out what Project Titans is and all that stuff, because I really like
it. If you got
it.
any questions related to me, just go to Facebook, Randy Santel, and send me a direct message, or else on Instagram. I'm on there as well. Again, Randy Santel.
So there you go, everybody. Go support indie comics. It's super important right now, and I've been saying it continuously. You know, fans have to support indie comics. I think Randy's great. Todd, obviously, me and Todd have spoken before, and I love Project Titan, so definitely support that as well. You know, and there's no excuse anymore. You know, I get it. Money's tight. Times are tough. If you're worrying about keeping your electricity or your internet on or your food or your house, please go take care of yourself first before you go and buy a comic. And especially, and I know it sounds crazy that 15 or 20 bucks shouldn't break you, but in today's age it can. And if you're in that situation, please take care of yourself first. Take care of your family. Make sure you're in a good position. And then once you're beyond that, and if you're still taking care of yourself, there's no excuse anymore, though, not to support people on Instagram, Facebook. Watch a YouTube video. Subscribe to Randy's YouTube channel. All that stuff is super important. Watch those videos because that's massively important. Algorithms are helpful. Revenue on YouTube is massively important as well. So there's no excuse not to do that, and all that stuff is free if you can't physically support and buy a comic because you're in a situation where you can't do that. But if you can do it, you know, give it a shot because it's really amazing. I read the first issue. I love it. I read the first 5 issues of Project Titan, and I love that comic as well. And I recommend it extremely. So please go support indie comics, whether you're actually buying the issues or you're supporting on social media. And you should probably do both because it's super important in today's age. And it's us, the fans, control the indie space. And the reason and why we get indie comics is because we as fans support these creators. So thank you both for being on. And I'm going to give you guys last words.
Is much appreciated.
Anybody got last words?
Just thank you.
No, it's been a fun conversation. Yeah, thanks for the opportunity.
Well, again, I'm very appreciative that I get to interview everybody and anybody and get to interview somebody who has a lot of YouTube subscribers and probably has a golden, and I don't know if you have a platinum button yet, but you have a few of those, right?
No, actually, I'm one of the few of my friends that have over 1 million subscribers, and YouTube hasn't sent me one. So all I've got is the silver from 100,000.
They haven't sent you the gold yet?
No, they haven't. No, my friend Adam in England, Peggy in Singapore, Eric in California. I think I got 1 million before Peggy and Adam, but no, they've got theirs. I don't have mine yet.
Well, maybe
I'm not bitter at all.
Maybe we'll send this video and this little snippet to remind Google
yes.
in a very friendly way to get that out with a nice apology and maybe a gift card to IHOP.
Hey, that'd be nice. Thanksgiving's coming up.
And I think that's a wrap right there.